The whole point of concealed carry is to instill doubt in the minds of criminals.
A new bill in the Missouri Senate could change the rules on carrying a gun.
It just takes one time of not paying enough attention.
Plus, how the city of Columbia plans to make roads safer with a new $1 million grant.
Biggest advice is to start young. Like if you have an idea, start hanging around mentors, other women, people that look like you.
And how one local organization is putting the spotlight on impactful women. This is KOMU8 News at 5.
Coverage you can count on. KOMU8 News starts now.
Well, we begin with Missouri lawmakers considering allowing guns on public transportation. Good afternoon, I'm Evie Allen.
And I'm Taylor Freeman. Thank you so much for joining us. This morning, a Senate committee heard that proposal and others to both expand and limit gun rights. KOMU8's Austin Wright was at those hearings and is in the studio now to tell us what the bills would do. Austin.
That's right. The first proposed bill could affect public transit. Senate Bill 224 would allow concealed carry permit holders to bring guns on public transportation like buses. Those testifying at the hearing in favor of the bill noted that more guns could increase safety. One person told me he believes this could deter criminals.
Just knowing that there might be someone with a concealed carry permit and a weapon on public transportation would make someone less likely to perpetrate an act of violence.
Opponents think this proposal could hamper the number of riders on public transportation.
I think it's a significant deterrent for people to ride this system if you are allowing people to carry, because there's that inherent risk. You're sitting on a moving vehicle. You can't exit that vehicle quickly.
The committee also heard a bill which will require businesses that prohibit guns to assume responsibility for employee and customer safety. Another bill would increase penalties for unlawful discharges of firearms in city limits. Dozens of people, including law enforcement, showed up for today's hearings. In the studio, Austin Wright, KOMU8 News.
Thank you, Austin. Well, Columbia has more money to help make roads safer. The U.S. Department of Transportation awarded the city a $1.4 million grant. Now, this will fund future studies on road safety improvements in Columbia. One resident who's lived in Columbia for more than 50 years says he worries about motorcycle crashes.
I think drivers need to try to remember that motorcycles are on the road. They're just a little harder to see, not very much, but it just takes one time of not paying enough attention.
The city says it will take a couple of months for the grant to be fully awarded, but the studies will last 5 years. Matt.
Well, it's been a very stagnant day.
All right, thanks, Matt. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey joined 6 other states in shutting down a massive robocaller operation. The defendants in the case sent billions of illegal robocalls across the country, according to the Attorney General's office. Bailey says, quote, "People have a right to be free from that type of communication as codified in state law." The U.S. Justice Department says it will conduct a review of the Memphis Police Department in the wake of the beating death of Tyree Nichols. The city's mayor and police chief requested the review. It will focus on how the department handled the use of force, de-escalation, and specialized units. The court has since blocked the Memphis Police Department from releasing more footage of that deadly arrest.
The Justice Department also revealed results of its review of the Louisville Police Department in Kentucky today, saying the department is guilty of systemic civil rights abuses and excessive force violations. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the findings today in Louisville. The investigation stems from the death of Breonna Taylor in a botched police raid 3 years ago. The report says Louisville police unlawfully discriminated against black people and, in some cases, used racial slurs.
This conduct is unacceptable. It is heartbreaking. It erodes the community trust.
The Justice Department's report underscores the majority of officers are doing their best in a difficult job. It notes Louisville police had deficient training and inadequate mental health support.
President Biden is set to unveil his budget tomorrow. Administration officials say a $3 trillion deficit reduction will be a central part of his proposal. Biden has offered several revenue-raising proposals to help reach deficit reduction goals. The president also has proposed cost-saving measures, such as expanding Medicare's ability to negotiate the price of certain prescription drugs. More details about the new budget are expected in the coming days.
The White House urges states to crack down on junk fees. Junk fees are hidden charges tacked onto everything from airline and hotel bookings to late fees for credit cards at the time of payment. Top White House officials hosted a virtual meeting this afternoon, calling on state legislators to take action. The Department of Transportation has already proposed a requirement for airlines to disclose all fees up front. Well, if AT&T has ever been your wireless data carrier, you could get a check in the mail. The federal government sued the carrier over data throttling or slowing down service. According to the FTC, AT&T has already paid out $52 million, but there's still $7 million for consumers. If you had an unlimited data plan between October of 2011 and June of 2015, you can file a claim by going to ftc.gov. The average payout is between $20 and $30.
Arkansas is officially rolling back a number of child labor protections. The new bill will no longer require children under the age of 16 to have a work certificate and can work in what is considered hazardous jobs. Before the bill, minors under the age of 16 needed to verify their age and get written consent of a parent or guardian. The signing of the bill comes after a major company employed minors in hazardous conditions. Fentanyl is driving a drug overdose crisis across the country. Provisional data from the Centers for Disease Control reveal more than 2/3 of all overdose deaths are linked to synthetic opioids like fentanyl. Some who have lost loved ones to fentanyl are making efforts to fight the problem. Jamie Puerta started the nonprofit Victims of Illicit Drugs, or VOID, after his son died of a fentanyl overdose.
We have to look at it as a poison and not a war on drugs, but a war on fentanyl.
Puerta says his son bought a pill from a dealer on Snapchat. He says he's working to raise awareness and change the conversation around fentanyl through his nonprofit.
Coming up, U.S. intelligence officials say China is more than an economic rival for the U.S. Find out what they had to say about a global threat.
And today is International Women's Day. Learn how one local organization is putting the spotlight on female-owned businesses.
Temperatures in the 40s across the region right now, varying from the low to mid. We are going to stay here pretty much for the next 5 days. Not a lot of movement in our temperatures. We'll talk about that and when we could see more changes coming up.
But first, here's a live look over downtown Columbia. KOMU8 News at 5 will be right back. We're coverage you can count on. Here's what's happening right now. The 6-year-old who shot his elementary school teacher in Virginia earlier this year will not face criminal charges. Prosecutors have not decided whether any adults associated with the case could be criminally liable. One attorney says, quote, "The prospect that a 6-year-old can stand trial is problematic."
Top U.S. intelligence officials are discussing global threats and zeroing in on China as a central focus. National Intelligence Director Avril Haines says Chinese President Xi Jinping surrounds himself with yes men. The Chinese president accuses the White House of trying to hold back his country's development by isolating it. Despite that, Haines says her agency still believes Beijing wants stability in its relationship with Washington.
We assess that Beijing still believes it benefits most by preventing a spiraling of tensions and by preserving stability in its relationship with the United States.
Officials also discussed the Chinese-owned app TikTok. FBI Director Christopher Wray noted the line between public and private sectors in China is virtually non-existent.
The U.S. is planning to relax COVID-19 testing restrictions for travelers from China as soon as Friday. The announcement is due to a decline in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, along with more data surrounding the variants in China. The Biden administration still plans to monitor cases in China and around the world, and there will still be a traveler-based surveillance program to survey travelers on variants. Well, coming up, learn more how one local organization is connecting and empowering women.
And temperatures made it to the middle 40s today, picking up over half an inch of rain. We're talking about the next opportunity for that rain coming up.
Welcome back. It's International Women's Day, a day dedicated to celebrating women's achievements.
That's right. Now, the Columbia Women's Network helps women develop their businesses. KMUA's Shay Lawson visited some female-owned businesses today and tells us more about the women in charge.
We recognize someone within our community. It's women. It's geared towards women in our community because women were not invited to the table within chambers back in the day.
And that's why Jade Poe says the Women's Network exists. It gives female business owners professional opportunities. Poe says every year the Women's Network holds Athena Award.
Is someone within our community who is a prominent leader, who is doing hard things, who's rolling up their sleeves.
Ashley Grossminer and Destiny McKnight both own businesses in Columbia and say they want to help others. Grossminer founded Delight Events, a wedding and event planning company.
The business has just kind of evolved as the years have gone on, and we've brought more team members on.
One of her interns says she has never had a boss like Grossminer.
All the event companies I've worked for in the past have been kind of very regimented and strict and have to have all this stuff done, but she's super relaxed and just makes it really fun.
Destiny McKnight co-founded a different business last year. It's called Selfie Love, and it's Columbia's first interactive selfie museum. She says her biggest piece of advice for young entrepreneurs is to start early.
If you have an idea, start hanging around mentors, other women, people that look like you, people that are going to talk like you, and then start morphing into your own true identity.
Both women say they hope to continue to inspire and help women everywhere. Shay Lawson, KOMU 8 News, Columbia.
The Athena Awards are in May, and the Women's Network chooses one winner every year. The director encourages anyone to join the network, and you can find a list of upcoming events on our website, komu.com. Welcome back. Allergy season is upon us, and we are seeing a record early start, that is. The allergy-triggering pollen is hitting the southern and eastern U.S. earlier this year than ever before. Waves of the dust are coating everything from car windshields to sidewalks. And the pollen comes after an exceptionally warm February and is part of a trend due to climate change.
Federal safety regulators are investigating Tesla after reports of steering wheels falling off. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is examining the 2023 Model Y SUV. This comes after at least 2 instances where owners say their wheels detached while they were driving the car. The NHTSA says roughly 120,000 cars on the road will be impacted. We'll have one more check of your forecast next.
A recap of our top story. Missouri lawmakers are considering a bill to allow guns on public transportation. This morning, a Senate committee heard a proposal to both expand and limit gun rights. KMU 8's Austin Wright is back in studio to tell us more. Austin.
That's right. Senate Bill 224 would allow concealed carry permit holders to bring guns on public transportation like buses. Dozens of people, including law enforcement, showed up for today's hearings. Those testifying at the hearing in favor of the bill claimed more guns could increase safety. The committee also heard a bill which will require any businesses that prohibit guns to assume responsibility for employee and customer safety. And another bill would increase penalties for unlawful discharges of firearms in city limits. Reporting in the studio, Austin Wright, KOMU 8 News.
Thank you, Austin. Now here's a look at what we're following for KMU 8 News at 6. Students and staff at Rockbridge High School honored Cash Martin today. He's the student who died in a motorcycle crash Monday.
How they honored him and how family friends are helping with the memorial. That's tonight at 6.
Temperature's not going to move a whole lot on Thursday. We start in the upper 30s. We get to the mid 40s. Rain most likely in the midday and early afternoon hours. That rain is going to wrap up for Friday, but the cloud cover pretty much going to stay put. A few peaks of sunshine here and there possible, but overall cloudy skies pretty much continuing all the way until Monday. Monday we should start to see a little more sunshine working in.
Okay, we can handle the cloudiness for a little bit.
I guess we'll have to.
We have to, that's right.
Certainly.
We don't have a choice.
You're right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again at 6 o'clock. Have a great rest of your afternoon.